It is Tuesday, March 2nd. That is Nick Banford. I'm Elk Grove Greg, and we have your Sideline Kings podcast question of the week, or of this Tuesday. So make sure you go to the Instagram story and put your poll in for this week's question. Will Luke Walton survive the rest of the season as the Kings coach?
I think he should. I'm not is Luke Walton my favorite coach that we've ever had? No, not by any stretch. But I'm not gonna blame him for this team's defensive struggles. You know, even though they lost 9 in a row and then had that stretch in January where they went, I think, 2-7, and they're not in another 9-game stretch. Those are all. I think those are just mostly defensive issues, and defense is about pride and effort. And sometimes you got to, look at yourself and say, hey, this guy, I'm going to make it tough on this guy. And that's something that we weren't seeing. So I think he survives, and I don't think that he should get fired for this reason, at least for the defensive struggles, even though I think that he's probably the first guy to go.
Yeah, no, I think he should be fired for his torture on the clipboard against the Knicks. I mean, that's just completely unacceptable. The clipboard has feelings. The clipboard has family. I mean, this just completely unacceptable to treat a clipboard like that. But no, yeah, I think he'll survive the rest of the season. I think if this were any other year, I think he would have been gone. I think that this is because Monty McNair is in that situation where it's just what purpose? I mean, what does it serve to fire him? I'd be stunned if he comes back next year. I think like Buddy Hield, like Harrison Barnes, I don't think either one. I don't think any of them are coming back. I think that team you see next year is going to look so different.
I think Luke Walton's back next year, provided there isn't a better coach that doesn't hit the market.
Okay, I mean, and this is going to come up. I have a question later on in the week about this, but I think there's going to be better coaches out there, and I just don't see how you're going to entice Kings fans to want to come back with Luke Walton back here. He's had 2 years, and right now, I mean, they're in the midst of their worst play. I mean, and they came out horrible earlier in the year, and they just look. I mean, I know that the team's they're still buying. I get that, but I don't think you can bring him back, and I think they would fire him right now if they felt like it would do anything. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Bring in Alvin Gentry?
I mean, he's a decent coach, but I don't know who you're gonna get that's essentially quote unquote better than
because
Luke
if you fire Luke Walton right now, you're bringing in Alvin Gentry as your assistant coach, almost certainly. But he's not gonna just come in, and I mean he's a 10-year coach. He's gonna want years as your coach. He's not gonna say, "Oh, I'll come right in and just be your assistant for the rest of the year." Essentially, be a lame duck, and then you hire a coach in the offseason. I don't see him doing that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not giving Alvin Gentry that contract yet.
No, I don't think Alvin Gentry is the answer either.
No.
But there's obviously coaches out there that there's one that I think is worth monitoring, and you probably know who it is because I sent you the questions, and it's going to be later on in the week.
Oh, I'd be all over that guy.
Yeah, no, I think there's a good chance that a guy like him becomes available because, I mean, the NBA is just so cutthroat.
If he becomes available, he's my coach for the next 10, 15 years.
There's a tease to make sure you stay tuned.
I'm riding it till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, but I mean, but then at the same time, I mean, is he really going to choose Sacramento? Because he's going to be coveted like no other.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you want that's more of a foundational question. Then that's a whole nother can of worms.
But no, I really don't see Luke. I mean, he'll survive the season. I don't see any benefit, like I said, because then you're gonna have to throw out Alvin Gentry, and you're gonna have to commit to Alvin Gentry. But honestly, I don't think Luke Walton's a great coach. I'm not the guy who's like, oh, fire him just because he's struggling. But I don't think he's the answer. I really don't. I think you're better off moving off of him. I mean, because he'll be what? I think next year's his lame duck season anyways, right?
Something like that, yeah. I think. What do you have? He had a 4-year original deal? I think.
And third year, and next year will be the third.
Yeah.
No, next year will be the second because this was the first year. No, this will be the
No,
this will be the third
next year will be the third. He's been the coach for
Yeah.
2 seasons.
So it will be his lame. I mean, and generally they don't put coaches through lame duck years. So I mean, actually, I just don't see how they hang on to him. It just seems to me, I've seen this happen too many times to where, I mean, the NBA is too hard on coaches, and I don't think.
I agree. I totally
honestly
agree.
I don't think that coaches honestly make that much of a difference. I may be crazy here. I think it's a lot of
I think some coaches make a difference, but when you're talking about those coaches, you're talking about like the upper echelon of coaches.
Yeah, and I'm referring to like how I think the struggle of the Kings has nothing to do with Luke Walton. I think the struggle of the Kings is more because their team's not good. I think that Buddy Hield knows nothing of defense. Buddy Hield is one of the worst defenders on the team. And then you got Marvin Bagley, who never played any defense. That they had to move the zone out in Duke because he doesn't play defense. So he's basically learning defense on the fly. And I think it's just a terrible recipe. Nobody. I mean, you allow a team like the Knicks to score 140 points when they average 103 for the season. I mean, how are you going to win like that?
Well, you're not. And that's why the Kings are on that really peculiar list that I had never seen before, where they've lost X amount of games while scoring more than 110 points. And it was what were they, 9 in a row scoring more than 110 points. So I think if I remember that stat correctly, I think the last time that happened was like 1990. Like that was before I was born. And then before that, it was like 1970 or 69 or something like that, where that just doesn't happen. That means you're just not committed to playing defense. And you can't get tired if you're only playing half the game.
No, their defense is awful. It's just unacceptable. I mean, and is it coaching? I don't know. That's for smarter people than I. That's for Monty McNair to decide.
Yeah. It probably falls a little bit on everyone, but I personally, I'm not looking at the coaching staff on this. You can only, you can't make a horse drink.
I don't think Luke Walton, or I think Luke Walton will survive the season, but I think if they keep struggling, look for one of his assistants to get fired. Someone's gonna fall on the sword.